frontier. This is Football Daft with Stephen Purden,
midfield dynamo and average actor,
Chris Toll,
target man, suspicious character,
and
With the top end of Stevenson, Grado!
Welcome to Football Daft, the daftest Scottish football podcast around. My name's Stephen Purden, and let's introduce today's starting lineup. First, a man who will be attempting to do the show through the tears in his eyes. It's Chris Toll. How you doing, mate?
Alright, man.
How are you?
you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good.
I've had almost a week to cool off. I feel alright.
Aye.
Aye.
Look at.
Lennon's a man.
I think everybody's a man. I think you're a man. I think Grado's a man.
We'll touch on it soon, man, and we'll get to the real Christopher Toll in a minute, man. We'll touch on it soon. But first, secondly, let's welcome a man who has a big smile on his face, and I'm sure it'll be there from start to finish today. It is the one and only Graham Steveley. Grado, how are you, mate?
I'm not too bad, mate. I'm a bit annoyed none of these have messaged me to congratulate me on getting my BAFTA nomination for Test Drive.
You're not getting it, it's a show, mate.
Did you get
Aye,
nominated?
but I'm the presenter. For
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Did you message me?
Saying Ant and Deck don't get awards. It's fucking
Exactly.
To get me out of here.
Did you message me?
No, but you never. But you're up for it every year with River City, for fuck's sake.
This is the first River City's been up for one in about 10 years.
Has it? Well,
Aye.
sorry, congrats, but as I say, it's a
Grado,
one-man show. They'll test it.
Yeah, do you know what, Grado? Congratulations, mate. I'm really proud of you. I'm
Congratulations on your BAFTA nominations, Bob.
Congratulations on your BAFTA nomination. Toll.
Can you
You
get
did.
back nominations for Facebook videos? for years ago.
What's that? Mate,
I says,
we
can you
don't
get
want, we
BAFTA
don't want to go back
nominations
on...
for Facebook videos for years ago, no?
Mate, we don't want to go back in your fucking social media for years ago. We know what happened then, man.
That's a fucking filter.
Sorry,
the,
mate.
best,
Sorry.
the best part is that needs to get cut out. And that
Oh,
was,
that's a cracker, man.
that was a belter.
No.
Mate, it's funny, man.
That's a belter.
Come on, that needs to stay in. That's
That's
come on.
edgy and funny, man. I don't think that's anything wrong with it.
Look, troops, right, let's just, I mean, I know we had Rangers Daft, Celtic Daft, but let's just get down there, right? Let's go on to the big football topic of this week, and it was the football topic of last week, the Old Firm. Do you want to go first, Toll? Do you want to talk about it?
Nah, man.
No.
Nah, I'm alright. I'm over it. I'm over
You
it.
sure?
I think about a day's game now.
Right,
Only,
okay.
only as good as your next game.
It was your last game, is what they say.
I know. Alright, I'll talk about it. Where do I start? Where do I start? Start me off.
Well, mate, on it, right, the way I seen it, Celtic look a bit dishevelled, they look a bit out of sorts, they look a bit flat, they look like they're lacking a spark, they look like they're lacking leadership, they look like they're lacking guidance. You can pick on anybody who wants to start for me.
I think you've just covered it, mate, to be honest with you. Honestly, everything you've said there's dead on, Stevie. It's like I say, I'm not quite as fucking het up about it as I was earlier, because every so often you just go, well, it's done now. Do you know what I mean? But going forward, like I say, on the crossover show that we've done, so it needs to be addressed. It needs to have a meeting, Grado.
That was your big advice. For anybody that didn't listen to Rangers and Celtic Daft, Toll said he came away with, do you know what they need to do? They need to have a meeting. A meeting, you know, as if like...
And we spoke about like John Kennedy sitting driving along the M8 listening to the crossover show in his motor going, do you know what? Stephen and I going to fucking Lennox Town tomorrow. I'm going to say to Neil, you should have a meeting.
You
Who
know
knows what he's talking about?
By the way, I don't know how I'm not in a Parkhead in some capacity with ideas like this. No, but in all seriousness, what I was saying there, it does need to be addressed. He needs to sit them all down and fucking, do you know what? See, if you don't want to be here, then you're not going to be playing. And it looked as if there was fucking 9 or 10 players on that pitch last Saturday that just didn't look interested, and it's embarrassing.
Do you think Lennon is kind of regretting his words at the end of full time on Saturday? Just with what I heard yesterday, he was kind of basically saying, look, he gets very emotional at the end of games, and he just wanted to back up his players and say that everybody's amazing and what they're doing is amazing. Do you think he's kind of taken a wee step back and went, I should have fucking kept the heat a wee bit? No, I mean, he didn't lose it, but you certainly think he probably thinks that about himself.
You know what, Grado, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I've not even seen it. You see the minute the full-time whistle went, I turned the telly off. And that's the truth. No, in fact, I didn't. I switched over to the Liverpool and Everton game.
Well, I did the
was
same.
alright, wasn't it? Let's talk about the Liverpool and Everton game.
Nah, we'll get to that later.
No, but hang me. I know what you're saying there, Grado, and I think you can attest to it as well. See, right after a result doesn't go your way, you're fucking raging, and you see things that you don't think through what you're actually saying, and I think that's what's happened there, Grado, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a bit like, like I've always got a rule that, if Rangers play bad or we get bait, man, I'm staying off social media, man. I don't want to deal with it. It's the last thing, and I don't understand.
100%.
And I don't understand folk, because there's like folk on my Facebook that you think to yourself, or Twitter, whatever, and you don't need to say it. You don't need to.
I know, but Grado, do you know how people take pleasure in being miserable? It's as if like they love it. They love being downtrodden that much because they get to vent about it all. Do you know what I mean? And that gives them an opportunity to do it. And some people just aren't happy unless they're fucking miserable.
Aye, and a lot of the kind of miserable stuff, and you get it with a lot of Rangers fans and Celtic fans, it's all contrived. It's all for attention. They're just saying it for the sake of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, some fans that go to the games, you're winning fucking 3-0, it's not good enough. They want it to be 6-0. They're still moaning about this and that and this and that. But you get that with Old Firm a lot. But social media for me was a happy place on Saturday. I was very active. I was putting my opinions out there, and here's what I might ask you, but I didn't ask you all night. What did you think of Scott Brown's performance, though? I
thought, to be honest with you, he never gave the ball away or anything like that a lot, and he did make some interceptions. I thought Arfield had, well, I don't know, man. I thought Brown was alright, Stevie, to be honest with you. And him and LaSalle, I think were the only two that I would possibly give anywhere near pass marks. But the thing is, Brown and Cham just can't play in the same team, man. In my opinion, they both should be playing the same position. So, Scott Brown's got to be winding down now. He's got to be Stevie, and we need to start bleeding these players that are going to be coming in to replace him. When you look at it, we've bought in Cham, who I think originally was a replacement for Brown. Right, we've bought Kouassi, who I think was brought in to replace Brown, and we've brought in Sorrow, who I think has been brought in to replace Brown as well. And none of them seem to be getting a chance. And now that he's coming to the end, he is coming to the end of his career. He's 35 going on or something?
I think so. I think he's 35.
You'll start to see it. See the more the games mount up. I mean, Celtic have got an absolutely ridiculous schedule coming up. We've got last season's Scottish Cup. We've got the fucking Europe. We've got the league as well. And I think we play something like 4 games in 11 days or something. Something mad like that. Right? If you think Scott Brown is going to be able to play those 4 games and come through it unscathed, it can't happen. This is when we've got to start bringing through his successor, and so that they're ready to go for next season. In fact, you want to know what? So that they're ready to go for this season, because there's something needs to be done there. There really is. But I think Scott Brown was all right on Saturday. I'll be honest with you, but I think
I 100% agree. I watched the game again on Saturday night, and there was one point, I think it was in the second half, first half, I can't remember, but he's won a header on the edge of his own box, and he's cleared the ball. A classic Scott Brown, jumped up right through the ball. He's headed it away. I can't remember who not way. He's won the ball. The ball goes right up the pitch. Then he's up the pitch. He's up the other end of the pitch 10 seconds later and wins a free kick. And I'm looking at it going, that guy shouldn't be doing that. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, it falls out the same category for me with Steve Davis. Steve Davis isn't going to be able to play Thursday, Sunday. No chance. But Scott Brown, for me, I thought he was. I'd probably agree with you. I'd say him and maybe the left back were probably Celtic's only. McGregor tried to make things happen. He tried to have a bit of guy on the ball.
Right, why have you get McGregor out on the left-hand side, man?
I know.
And you're playing Elyounoussi up front. It doesn't work, man. Just play Elyounoussi in the left, play Klimala up front and put McGregor either behind the striker or in the midfield. Do you know what I mean? It's screaming out for it, and how can this guy not see this? How can he not see it? Do you know what I mean? And like I say, I touched on it as well. These Rangers players are looking over into a dugout, and you've got Steven Gerrard that's up and he's kicking every fucking ball. He's kicking every ball with him. And you've got the Celtic players and they're looking over into the dugout and they've got a guy that's sitting in his arse with his arms folded and his legs folded. Do you know what I mean? There's only one winner there. And it's, you know, obviously I'm a Celtic fan, right? But it's the contrast between the two characters is fucking ridiculous. Ryan, I don't know if you agree with me, mate. It's like you're a Celtic fan as well. Do you not think that's a big factor as well?
I think for me, seeing him sitting there on Saturday, like you say, arms crossed, body language spoke volumes for me. That's a guy that is completely lost any enthusiasm he's got for the job. People have said before Neil Lennon's calmed down in recent years. You know, he's learnt his lessons and blah blah. I'd prefer Neil Lennon from yesteryear, who was up screaming.
I want the one that's running on the fucking pitch doing helicopters.
For me, that's what we need. We need somebody like that. Somebody who, it looks like he doesn't care to me. And I know he does care. I know deep down he will care, but he's not shown that. But
body language is a big thing, Ryan. Mm-hmm. And if they're looking over there and they're seeing him sitting with his arms and his legs crossed, they're going to be like, well, he's not balling his arse. Why should I be fucking balling my arse?
Exactly.
And then what I say is, you look at the other dugout, Gerrard's up, he's pointing, he's shouting his tactics on, you're telling him what he wants him to do.
Handsome bastard, aren't he? Handsome bastard,
We can't exactly be running on the park doing helicopters when he's getting beat 2-0, for fuck's sake, come on.
You know what I mean, Grado.
Right, so...
I think you should have an issue with that, would you know? 2-0, he's running about the park, man, doing helicopters. Hey, don't give a fuck, man.
What I want to know is, how was he doing it was aeroplane he was doing?
Aye, oh, fuck off, what was he doing?
Grado, you must be shit at that video game.
And there, that Magic Crocker, there's Neil Lennon doing helicopter.
And then McCoy's going, I think you'll find that's an aeroplane, Ian. For me, that's an aeroplane all day long, Ian.
Brilliant.
Andy'd still sit there and agree with Crocker and fucking out. That's a helicopter.
Yes, that's a smashing helicopter. And I'll tell you what, lads, see if I'm that helicopter, the first bit of contact, I'm going down. It's a fucking absolute walking into, man. See, who is it that get brought down or something like that during the game? It was when Lee Griffiths went through and he went round the goalie, remember? Mm-hmm. And he tries to cut it back. And Andy Walker's like that. Don't know why he's not went down. That's a stonewall penalty if he goes down. How can he justify advocating fucking diving? How can he do it?
The best bit with Andy Walker for me was the last 10 minutes. How many times did they say the word, it's embarrassing. This is just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. He's like, yes, I can't believe it. I mean, shot shy, they've not had a shot on target. It's embarrassing, Ali. It's embarrassing.
Listen, there's only one fucking thing that's embarrassing, it's Andy fucking Walker. Right? Him, in fact, there's a few things.
It's a bit aggressive there too.
No, I'm telling you this, you know, you see that prick? He should be allowed nowhere fucking near Celtic Park. I'm telling you, him, Commons and fucking the other arsehole.
So on
the show today, we welcome former Celtic striker Andy Walker.
Alright, Andy, I've got a few fucking questions for you, son.
What about, right, we've covered all for him before fucking Toll takes a cardiac sitting there, man. Right, What about the old Hearts and Dundee, man? That was a tasty affair, wasn't it, man? Opening fixture, they two playing each other.
What was it, 6-2 or something like
6-2.
that?
Aye. Hardy scored the 6th goal, man.
Oh, that was good to see Hardy getting a wee goal. Was it not? I think it was in the last kick of the
That's
ball,
him
wasn't
found
it?
his level. That's him found his level. So hang on. Aye, it was a. Did you watch the game?
No.
Nah, didn't
Huh?
see it, mate. Didn't see it.
Pretty good game, man. Pretty good game. Hearts were excellent. But my mate's a big jambo, and he says earlier on, before that game, he's like, I don't know how I'm going to get through the whole season watching Hearts in Scotland.
Aye,
Right.
that's a fucking tough one.
And then on Friday, they're fucking 6-2.
They're going in. They'll fly, won't they, man?
Mm-hmm.
They'll cruise that league, I think. They will. They'll cruise it, man.
Robbie Nielsen knows that league better than anybody.
Aye.
He does, and they've done the right thing appointing him because they'll be straight back up. There's no doubt about it. They'll cruise it.
But do you think they'll come straight back up, and then whoever falls down, Premier League, Nielsen will just take the job there? That's what he seems to do all the time, innit?
I don't know.
Imagine,
I don't know if he fancies the Celtic job.
Hey! Right, so at time of recording, it's a huge night for both old firm teams in Europe. Rangers away to Standard Liège, and Celtic welcome Giants, who me and Toll really like, AC Milan, where that man's Zlatan leading the line with Giant tonight. Giants a good game for you, but you want to play a right good team after getting pumped off a right good team, didn't you?
Don't really know if you do want to play a right good team. I think you want a confidence booster. I think you want a broth or something like that.
How?
Oh, my mate Ricky plays with him, for fuck's sake, Camden. What's what you're saying?
I know,
another honourable mention for Ricky Little.
the Rickster.
Just watch it.
Do you know what? I can see us getting an absolute fucking hiding tonight.
I've started the season well though, haven't they, Milan?
Aye, they're off to an absolute flyer. Top of Serie A, haven't dropped a point. You know what I mean? Some of the results in Italian football this season have been mental. Honestly, the amount of goals that are getting scored in Serie A is ridiculous.
They beat Inter, didn't they? They've had the derby, they beat Inter.
They're 100%. They've won every single one of their games.
I mean, one of the games was Inter Milan, wasn't it?
I don't actually know.
Aye, they won 2-1 on Saturday. Zlatan scored both.
Right,
I didn't even know. What I say is after the Liverpool Everton game, I just turned the telly off and fucking curled up into a ball in my dog's cage and tried to get through the rest of the weekend without crying too much. But they're on fire now, going by the results of. Ironically, the only match that I've watched of theirs was the game against Rio Ave in the Europa League.
With an epic shootout.
Mate, they were fucking garbage that night. They were so bad. Honestly, and seeing we get through against them, I was like, oh, maybe they're not the Milan that they used to be, but this season they're off to an absolute screamer. And fuck, I'm worried about tonight, man. I really am worried about tonight.
Anyway, Standard Liège, they've got some COVID issues. Barker's out for Rangers, which is for me a big blow, but we've got Hadji that'll probably come in. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's love watching Rangers in Europe. Ever since Steven Gerrard's taken over, we've done really well in Europe, and we actually look really good when we play in Europe. So
I agree with you. You've made some very valid points there, Grado. Since Steven Gerrard took over, we have became a formidable outfit in Europe, and I think it should. But they're only a point off the top of the league in Belgium. I think will be dangerous. I think it'll be a tough game, but we should be going there with confidence.
I mean, I'm confident, but at the end of the day, obviously I'm looking forward to seeing Rangers in Europe, but this year, to me, I think Europe is just a wee added bonus. And I suppose it's maybe, I don't know if Celtic fans feel the same, but their team, they'll be just wanting to try and wrap up the title this year.
You're absolutely right, Grado. I think what you're saying there's dead on, mate. It's, for me, though, it's not really a bonus. I always want Celtic to be in Europe, but the league absolutely takes precedence this season.
Maybe your fucking team should have known that at the weekend, by the way. Anyway.
Maybe your team should have known that. You cast that line right in there. Got me.
Honestly, even the texting in the other night, he's something doing like a fucking bride's night, man. 1 minute, Lennon must go. The next minute, Rangers are no winning another Old Firm game. Start of the show, I don't care.
Yeah, minute. No.
No.
No, listen, go back. What I said was Rangers won't win the next 3. right? I didn't say that they wouldn't win one of them. I said they wouldn't win the next 3.
Don't know
I chose
about
not to hear it like that, Tol. I chose not to hear it like that. I
Right,
took it the
fair
other way.
enough, mate. Fair dues.
So, on the show today, we welcome former Rangers and Northern Ireland striker Andy Little.
Oh, fucking
And-
brilliant. Just what I'm needing. Fuck's sake.
Here's a question for you. Who would you have preferred, Andy Little or Andy Walker?
that.
Fucking Andy Gorham.
And it's Chris's turn on the Legends Lottery, so we'll see what he has up his sleeve and find out what score Grado got for last week's guest, his mates, Parrot. Right,
Mr.
so
Chow.
I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you about this, right? I need to talk to you about this. I was away last week. I took a wee annual leave, right? Took a wee day off the podcast. The other day, I'm sitting looking at my phone, going through Twitter, and I see it's the wee snippet that John put up saying Ryan put up, it's Grado's turn on the Legends Lottery. So the first thing I noticed was, and I'm noticing it again this week, our producer of the show has got a Celtic top on once again, right? And Grado and Toll are trying to get a Parrot to talk back to him. So I felt like a father who'd went on holiday and left his wages in an empty.
It felt like an empty, mate, trust me.
No, but I mean, we'll talk about it when we get to
It didn't
the
feel like an empty,
Bob.
Stevie. It didn't feel like an empty. What it felt like was, see, after you've had the empty and you wake up in the morning and you're non-dark and back that afternoon, and the fucking house is upside down, that's what it felt like. Am I right, Grado?
The old Yellow Pages advert, man. Try to find somebody to clean the gaff up and all that.
I try to get the fucking French polisher out. You know what I mean?
Good, man. Right, we'll talk about it when we get to the Legends Lottery, but also on the show today, the big question is we want to know what your best I was there moment has been in football. Saturday.
We weren't there, but
I know, I was there. Sorry, we'll not talk. Right, we'll move on. Sorry, Tol. No way I keep talking about it, right?
Football Daft with G4 Claims. Been involved in a road traffic accident? Call them now on 01698 767 172.
Right, Troops, remember, if you've been in a road traffic accident, you're not at fault. G4 Claims can make it easy for you. They can provide you with a complete accident management support that you require. They'll recover your costs from the at-fault party, sort out a like-for-like vehicle replacement, and they'll also organise your vehicle to be repaired at one of their approved body shops and returned to you. Should your vehicle be deemed a write-off, they'll recover the pre-accident value for your car and write you a big fat cheque for it. And best of all, it won't cost you a penny as they charge the at-fault insurance direct. G4 Claims don't cold call, they don't buy data, and once they process your claim, your insurance will remain unscathed. And the best thing is, Nicole and the team over there won't take on your case if they don't think they can help. So if you've been in a road traffic accident or know someone that has, go on to G4 Claims on 01698 767 172. That's 01698 767 172. Get them at notatfaultclaim.com or find them on social media at G4 Claims on feed. G4 Claims.
not at fault claims.
Claims made easy.
The Legends Lottery on Football Daft.
Right, folks, let's get down to the back of the couch of Scottish football and see if we can pull out a pound coin. Do you know what, lads? I'm sorry, this is a Legends Lottery section, right? And I kind of feel as if we've ripped the arse right out of it recently. Right? I'm sorry, I'm going to... I tried my heart out to get somebody on this week, and everybody just keeps saying, oh, I'll do it, and then pulling out and stuff like that. So, I'm not going to bother my arse getting a fucking talking ferret on or something like that, or somebody that's walked past a football stadium one week.
Hold on. Tool, I know you're cutting a promo here and you're getting serious, but let's just... Ryan, have you got the results for Mr. Chow last week? I'm desperate to hear how the Talking Parrot managed to go on the Legends Lottery last week. Let's just get that out of the road, can I?
I do, right. So going into this, Stephen leads on 26.4, Chris has got 18.4, which means, Grado, you only need 1.4 for this to go above Chris. Because you've got 17.1. So this week's score, I was actually terrified to tell you this one because I think Chris is going to be absolutely fizzing. You got 4.5, Grado. From Mr. Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Chow, if you're listening. I'd love to get him on for an acceptance speech, but he's a bit shy. Until you
Boys,
look very,
this-
very angry, I now overtake you. So what you're trying to say is you want to rap Legends Lottery. Well, if you want to rap it the day you come last, and that's fair enough if you want to do that, mate. I understand it as...
do you know what, boys? Do you know what he's day all the time? And it really fucking rips my knitting. He's leave the Legends Lottery to like 3 days, 2 days before we start recording. You get 3 weeks to get somebody on.
All right, mate. Cheers.
You know what,
3
Stevie,
weeks.
a lot can change in 3 weeks, man.
The teacher's
Right.
raging.
Like what?
For example, our broth might get fucking hammered 1 week,
Fuck off,
and
man.
then
Right.
Don't get hammered.
your guest can't come on because
How's
Dick
our both
Campbell's-
going to get hammered? They've got fucking Ricky Little, mate. They don't get hammered.
Right,
They
and,
don't get hammered.
and they've got Dick Campbell at the helm. You know what I mean? You
Aye.
wouldn't think that they would get hammered, but sometimes they
Mhm.
do, and that means that your legend needs to cancel because his manager will beat his boss.
Right, so we're putting
That would have been
it
good.
up there, right? That would have been good, right? It would have been good. It's all shoulda, woulda, coulda, as we used to with the fucking Legends Lottery, man.
Oh, but I
Honestly,
managed to
right?
get somebody last week.
To be,
Oh, fuck
to
off,
be- no, you
Grado.
didn't.
Listen,
You got
I'm
some.
going
You
to
got
tell you the
something.
story. Do you want to know the story behind Mr. fucking Chow, Stevie? Do you want to know the story?
I don't, and I don't think the listeners want to hear it again. I don't.
Right,
I really
Well,
don't.
judging by the results, mate, you got 4.5.
Aye, it's because it's to wind up a certain member of the panel here.
So that's what's happened. That he's only happy with hammering me at the football. He's wanting to fucking rub my nose in it with the Legends Lottery and all.
It's not
You
to
know
do with
what?
me. It's not to do with me.
No,
Stevie,
I understand, mate. Don't worry. Listen, I was always brought up to never kick a man when he was down. But I'll tell you something, lads. See, I don't know what I've done to these listeners. They just fucking... They're not... I actually seen a comment saying, just to get it up to 5.0. Right?
Aye.
Now, that's not... that takes the fun out of it, you know. And this is what I said right at the beginning. All the Rangers fans are going to give Grado and Stevie 5.0 and they'll give me nothing, and all the Celtic fans will give me a high score and give Grado and Stephen nothing. So it's not fair. It's not an even playing field.
But
So
Toll,
what we need to do is come up with a different segment for the show
Right.
going forward.
But to see, to get points, you
Aye.
need to have somebody on the show.
Exactly, mate. Do you know what?
That's what
you're
you've not
right.
done.
You're
You've
right. You're
see at
right.
the start of this. I would have
Well,
said it would have finished. Maybe you tap me
Aye.
second, or maybe me tap you second. And then I'm not offending Grado when I say this. And I know he won't be offended. I'm really proud that he's done what he's done here. He's finished second. And Toll,
Thanks.
you've not only let me down and other folk, you've let yourself down, Chris.
Take a long, hard look at yourself, too.
Aye.
You're
It's
disgusting.
really, and now you're shouting for the fucking rooftops. Let's ditch this segment because you can't get any cunt on.
It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. Ah.
Always cheated, never defeated.
Never defeated. I was just about to say that there. Right, so for the listeners out there, he's the David McCracken of the Legends Lottery. He's at the bottom of the pile. Grado is second. He's actually fucking done. Like I say, mate, I'm proud of you.
Cheers, bro. Cheers, bro.
I have finished at the top of the table. Are we saying that's the Legends Lottery done then?
By the way, Stevie, Grado's not kicking your arse after catching you and all.
I know, Tol, but you're nowhere, mate, so you can't make any comments. I'm tapped, mate.
We should maybe let it run for another 3 weeks to see if he overtakes you. When he brings on some guy that he fucking gets served in Summerfields with or something.
Honestly, two of the highest scorers in this are his fucking cousin who was a mascot and Chow the Parrot.
I know, man. I wish I'd just brought Brian McPhee on every fucking week.
Right, so are we saying this is the end of Legends Lottery?
I don't know. Why don't we put it to the fans? Why don't we put it to the people that listen? And what do they think? Do you think I'm getting a fair shake of the fucking whip here?
Right, let's shoot for the hit. This week we're going to try and arrange something new for this podcast. We're going to try and we're going to try and readjust it, kind of sugar
We're going to have a Cobra meeting.
We're having a Cobra meeting, mate. We're having a Cobra meeting.
Grado, we're changing our gimmick.
Aye, we are. It's like the Godfather gone into the Good Father, innit? That's how extreme we're taking it here.
Oh my god, that was a hard fucking time. That was a hard time in my teens. Right, so anyway,
Wrestling
folks,
talk,
like I said, bottom line here is I've tried again. I've been fucking hung on the end of a thread and fucked off. So I've not got him in the Legends lottery, and because of that, purely because of that, and because of the shambles that it's turned into over the past few weeks, I think we're going to change it up, folks. And if you've got any suggestions, by all means get in touch. We might not listen to you, but get in touch anyway. All right. Thanks very much for listening.
Football Daft's big question.
Right, folks. Every team has got that moment in their history that supporters will never ever forget for as long as they live. Might even say, I was there for. Right, now, for me personally, obviously it's the Barcelona game and Nakamura's free kick against Man United as well. What about yourselves, lads? What's the moment where you're like, I was there when it happened?
This might come as a surprise for you, but mine's is probably May the 15th, 1999, the OVD Scottish Junior Cup final, Cowannon Rangers versus Kelty Hearts. The Buffs hadn't won the Scottish Cup in 100 years, and every year it was the Talbot, it was Glenafton, never the Buffs. But that season we were in 8 competitions and we won every trophy. The West of Scotland.
Grado, who scored the winner in that cup final?
The one, the only, Mr. Gerald Pliny. And the full game is up on YouTube, but what I love about that day is I was only 11 and I ran a bus for Stevenson. I ran a bus and I had about 70 folk on it. What a day. My gran was there, my Uncle George. Everybody face painted their face blue.
Mate, see when you talk about all this junior stuff, your face pure lights up, man. It's beautiful.
Mate, it was tremendous. I'm not joking, and I'll never forget. There was an open bus celebration thing in Cowannon after it, and the streets of Cowannon were absolutely mobbed. And I had a wee disposable camera, and I always remember Jerry had the cup, and I went, Jerry, 40, and he went, well, right, so I could get it, and I went, click, and I got an absolute belter that picture, man.
You still got it?
What? I should still have it, but as I say, I've got like a t-shirt all signed. I've got a picture next to the trophy.
I can get that 40 signed for you. I know Jerry Pliny.
But that was definitely, I was there that moment.
What about yourself, Stevie?
I'm trying to think, man. I would probably just say Helicopter Sunday.
But you were there at the game.
I wasn't literally at Easter Road. I was at Ibrox after it.
What? You weren't there then?
You weren't there, Bobby.
You're alright, fucking calm down.
Grado, do you know what my favourite was? See episode 14 of Breaking Bad. Oh, I wasn't actually there, but I watched it in the telly.
Yeah, it's like, innit? It's like, I was there.
That's not what I mean. I'm saying I was at Ibrox after it when they came back, when the players all came back.
So was I, but I still wouldn't say that, mate.
You said the fucking OVD Junior Cup final, mate.
No.
Listen, just because your team's never won the Junior Cup finals.
Fucking Denison, man, they were rotten to.
Denison.
They were rotten.
Denison.
Oh no, was it no Shettleston? Was it Shettleston?
You're talking about Shettleston Juniors?
I'm talking about Shettleston.
Shettleston Juniors are pish.
Aye, that's right.
Although I do go down to Shettleston a lot because I've got a lot of family down there, and I do
Shettleston Bob.
You can't go back now, can you?
Shettleston Bob.
Shettleston Bob. Shettleston Bob.
Shettleston Bob, man. Walking in buying a raffle and all that. Shettleston Bob, man. He's getting right into the Shettleston these days.
The days are long gone, mate.
What game have you been at?
I would say the Parma game's one that sticks in my head. I went with my dad. Me and my dad went.
Reina.
Aye, I went with my dad. Reina and Vidmar.
Vidmar, that's what I was. You're right.
Also, honourable mention to the Kelly game where we won the league at Rugby Park in 2011. That was a cracking game to be at. Anyway, we'll have a wee quick look and maybe actually, Ryan, do you maybe want to have a wee 2 cents? Do you want to say what I was there?
Oh, I'd probably say the Scottish Cup final, Tom Rogic.
For the treble.
Invincible treble.
That's a good one.
That was a good one.
That's
what I said.
I know you used to want to there for that one. You haven't had them for a while, have you?
Oh, woo. Hey, so Henry, we'll talk about what the.
Oh,
what the
shots
listeners are
fired, man. Sure, Ryan, he will not be doing this show again.
Brian, I think you've just confirmed that you won't be here next week. So we'll move on to what the listeners are saying. Well, Thomas Osborne says, I seen David Gray end 114 years of fought with one header of a ball past Wes Fodring. Now, Grado, you can testify to this because you obviously seen the Buffs going through 100 years of hurt. So you'll know what Thomas Osborne's been going through.
I
must have been some feeling, eh?
Who are we talking about here? David Gray?
Why the listeners said that's what
I don't remember who David Gray played for or what this.
he played for Hibs. It was the fucking the year Hibs beat us in the Scottish Cup final.
That was a horrible day, man.
I was at that game and it's got to be one of the worst days of my life.
Aye.
Honestly.
I was in the back of a motor going down to Liverpool to wrestle and I was going to meet my hero Scott Hall and I met him and he was a total cunt to me. Horrible day, man.
I was in a car park outside Tesco in Coatbridge listening to that game. And there must have been about 40 guys in motors just sitting listening to that game while their missus is in Tesco. And anyway, half of them cheered when the goal went in, half of them's head went down, man. So it's Coatbridge, it's always a fucking same, isn't it?
We Coatbridge toll, man.
Fuck off, man.
We Coatbridge Chris sitting listening to Rangers games in the car parks, man.
Coatbridge Chris and fucking Shettleston Bob. There's a pair.
Right, Matty Collins says, when Celtic beat Barca with a Tony Watt goal, then went straight to night shift at Tesco. By 4 a.m, I was dead on my feet, but worth it.
Sorry. Scott Keefe says, Aberdeen beaten Bayern 3-2 at Pittodrie in 1983. Totally written off and went 1-0 and 2-1 down. That's a great memory from Scott, who follows Aberdeen in their travels.
We've got both Niall Kane and Alan McClucas. Is that Alan McClucas? That's an odd name, isn't it? Said, listen to me, fucking told, you know what I mean? Said both Griffiths free kicks against England. Alan was directly behind the goal for both. Unbelievable scenes.
Where was Niall?
I don't know. I think Niall's just been put in for comedy.
Both Niall Kane and Aaron McClucas.
Lovencran's last minute header against Celtic in the Scottish Cup final. That must come from Anonymous.
Yes, Martin Sheffield also says Tony Watt's goal against Barca nearly burst out greeting at full time.
Joe Will says when Big Awilimo missed that sitter for Scotland.
That's funny. Joe Hilton says Nakamura free kick against Man United.
Ross Johnston says Nacho Novo's pen to take us to the UEFA Cup final.
Right, now, if that's my cousin Ross Johnson, he wasn't fucking there. Right, I'm telling you that now. I'm calling you out, Ross Johnson. You're a liar. You weren't there.
Aldo McNaught said Chelsea came to Ireland for a friendly and he witnessed Philip Seymour actually scoring a goal. What a player he turned out to be.
Graham Miller went more recent with Rangers coming back to beat Braga 3-2. I was at that game that night.
I was at that game. I'm sitting next to Haji's dinner.
And Ben Gourley said
Clang.
You dropped a name there, Greg.
Pick it up, mate. Drop something off your table, mate.
Ben Gourley said he went to France to see some games at Euro 2016. First game was in the Stade de France and he seen Payet ping one top bins and stoppage time to win the game. Ended up 10 rows down being bundled over by a load of French folk. Unreal. That would be some experience, wouldn't it?
That would be quite cool.
That was cool. I seen Justin Timberlake at the Stade de France.
Did you?
Did you?
It was good, actually.
Was he good?
He was good, mate. He was really entertaining. But what I was surprised at is Stade de France has like all these wee boozles all around the like kind of sports bars all around about the stadium, man. It was a sight to see.
Sorry, mate. Who did you say you seen there?
JT.
Justin Timberlake.
Aye.
I don't know why, but I thought you said Kenny Rogers there. And I was like, where the fuck is... How's Kenny Rogers still in the Stade de France? And why is Grado there?
I've seen a Kenny Rogers tribute act in Tenerife before. But...
That must have been a bit of a gamble.
I quite like that, tickled me a wee bit.
Football Daft with G4 Claims. Find them on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at G4 Claims Limited.
you can now get more content for Fitbit Daft on Patreon. Just in case you don't know what Patreon is, it's a subscription service that you sign up to not only support the podcast, but you also get more content. So we've set up 3 tiers which you can choose for. Tier 1 is £5 a month, and it's League One. On there, you'll get early access to the episodes. You'll get an ad-free version of the show. You get a Patreon-only chat community where you can talk amongst yourselves, and you also get a full video version of the podcast. Tier 2 is £7.50 a month, and it's the Championship. You get everything in Tier 1, plus some brand new podcast phase on there. You can hear Rangers Daft and Celtic Daft. This week it was Celtic Daft versus Rangers Daft at the aftermath of the Old Firm. You can hear that. And actually, that's actually free right now, up on where you get your podcast, just as a wee kind of teaser if you fancy listening to that every week. Teammates, basically each week we talk to who we have on the show, and just before we get right into the interview with Day, I kind of ripped off Soccer AM style 10 questions. So up there you can hear Kevin Harper, Keith Lasley, Negri, Sutton, Jim Duffy's is good, Rob Jones, Greg Docherty, Hartson, and Chick Young's last week, and you also get to hear Andy Little's this week as well. So as well as that, you get the Football Daft outtakes. A lot of folk are saying this is better than the actual show. It's about 25 minutes worth of outtakes, and you also get everything that was in the previous tiers. Tier 3 is their exclusive Premiership tier, which is only available to 100 members, and there's only a few spaces left. It's £10 a month, and you'll get everything we've just mentioned, plus you get a free Football Daft t-shirt as long as you're signed up for a minimum of 4 months. You get to play Chris or Stephen at FIFA, but you must be on PC, PS4, soon to be the PS5. And you get the first chance to be a pundit on Rangers or Celtic Daft, which is something I really enjoy. We get a Rangers or Celtic fan on every week to do the kind of punditry on the relevant podcast. We'll be adding more stuff to these tiers as the season progresses, but that's where we'll have to start. So if you fancy getting signed up, then you go to patreon.com/Football Daft. That's Patreon, Patreon.com, and Football Daft, all the one word. Get involved now, as we'd love to welcome you to the squad.
Football Daft with G4 Claims. Been involved in a road traffic accident? Get them now at notitfaultclaims.com.
Let's welcome to Football Daft, a Scottish footballing legend. He's a former goal-scoring machine for both Rangers and Northern Ireland. He's a turned pundit. Please welcome to the show, Andy Little. Andy, how you doing, my man?
Good, thank you. Cheers for having me.
Andy, you were telling us just before we come on there that you're going to do the football the night, the commentating. How is that for you just now? You seem to be getting quite a lot of media gigs and stuff like that. The Rangers, Joe, I think that'd be the coolest thing ever, getting to go, especially in these kind of times. It's good that you're actually getting to go to the football. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Hey, it's it was stupid now. I'm trying to remember the last game. I think it was the last game before the international break, maybe Ross County. And it was the first game I'd actually done for Rangers TV at home. And you feel a wee bit special because you're looking around and all you see is like members of the board and the management and the subs and media. That's all that get in. So I'm loving any game I get right now. Certainly, the home games. But media stuff's good. It comes in stages. Like every so often, you get a few in a row, and then you go a bit quiet for a while. But no, it's a thing that you're seeing a lot of players going into now. Definitely after football, after their career. But I obviously retired a wee bit too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? How do you feel about? I was going to say Des Lynam. It's not Des Lynam. What do you call him?
Des Lynam. That's come back a bit, mate.
Who do you call him? Clive Tilsley. Have you ever had the opportunity to work with him yet? I mean, I know you're kind of like a wee tag team with Tom, but have you ever had the opportunity, or will you have the opportunity to commentate alongside him?
I haven't. I'm hoping so. So the way it works at the minute is basically Clive's doing all the home games, doing all the TV, and Rangers TV have gone out and paid a fair bit of money, I think, to get him, and it's brilliant. Like, from a fan's point of view and from the season ticket point of view, I love the fact that Rangers TV has spent a lot of money to bring in proper top legendary status like pundits. So for me, I don't expect to be up there with those boys, but at the same time, I enjoy my wee gig with Tom. We do the radio, and we do the radio for every game, and then we do the TV and radio for away games. So that's kind of how it works. And Tom's been an unbelievable servant to the club. Like, he's been involved with Rangers TV and Rangers Media for, I think, maybe 30 years or something silly. So
it's great they kept him on, because it was exciting times when they announced Clive Tilsley and they announced like all the other people like Neil McCann, Alex Ray, all that kind of stuff, Emma Dodds. But you're thinking, I hope they keep Tom.
That's
Tom
what I felt as well, Bob.
He's part of the furniture, isn't he? When you watch Rangers TV.
100%. I think even he would say that himself. I think he would have felt a bit put out, definitely, if he'd just been bombed in favour of Clive Tidsley for however long that lasts, because I don't think that's going to go on forever. It's just to give the Rangers fans and anyone else who's watching the games, you know, a really sort of top class performance and show that they put on. But at the same time, Tom is brilliant. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and I think most Rangers fans would have been gutted if that had been him out of the picture. But he'll be there no matter what, you know, whether Clive Tidsley's doing it or whether or not. Tom's sort of waiting and ready, and thankfully I get to be alongside him.
So you're saying Tom's been there, like, involved with Rangers media for like 30 years and stuff, Andy. So when you were still playing at Rangers, coming through the ranks and stuff, did you know Tom then?
Yeah. Aye. He's got this ridiculous memory too. He could tell me like my first game or my first goal for the reserves, because that's the way it used to be. When you used to have Rangers TV and Celtic TV, you get the reserve games on a Tuesday. So Tom,
God, you remember that on Sky? Remember the Rangers and Celtic?
It was brilliant. And
I forgot about that.
I moved over 16, 17 and started watching myself on TV playing like a reserve game, and it was wee Tom who was commentating. So, like, yeah, I've known of him and known him for, well, whatever that is now, 15 or something years.
Yes.
See how you are. I know you probably we want to get into your career, but what I find interesting, I see, obviously you're going to commentate tonight, Andy, but what do you do? Do you go to Ibrox today, or do you go to a studio, or that's weird, isn't it? It's not weird, but you know what I mean? Yeah,
I mean, I think it's a sort of a thing, obviously in the times that we have right now with COVID and everything, it's an away game, so we don't travel. And I think most people understand the reasons why that is. But certainly home games, we're there, obviously, and we can do everything we want to do. But for the away games, just given the circumstances right now, we do it from Ibrox, which is a bit strange. But I mean, it's a small thing given everything that's going on in the world right now.
Right.
Aye, of course, man, of course. Are you allowed to take a +1, Andy? Because I would like to go and sit in my seat for a while, because I've not been there for a while now. I'm missing it.
No, unfortunately, we're not. They're doing everything right. You have to get your temperature. You have to do a wee questionnaire. It's not a quiz. It's a questionnaire. The day before you get the Ibrox, and then they do temperature and all that. So it's top level security, which also makes you feel a wee bit special when you walk in.
You would, don't you? So, Andy, take us back to when you first made the move. I take it you had to move when you were a young boy from Northern Ireland to play in the Rangers Youth Academy. Was that the deal? How did that come about?
Yeah, so I was sort of 16, just turning 17, and I'd had endless amount of trials down in England, Sunderland and Newcastle and Stoke City, all these kind of teams, and they'd never come to anything. I'd never got offered a contract. So I'd sort of given up the hope of going professional, if I'm honest. And then it was actually Bomber Brown, who watched me playing for Northern Ireland, offered me a week-long trial at the club. And I came over, and at the end of the week, they offered me a 2-year youth team contract. And they basically said, like, when can you move over? So it all happened very, very quickly. But I went home, had a wee very quick think about it. And that about 3 weeks later, maybe I moved over.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. I mean, it's like, especially because you were a Rangers fan growing up, Andy.
Yeah, like I don't claim to be a diehard Rangers fan from young. I must admit, like in Northern Ireland, you're sort of, you know, obviously you lean one way or the other. If it came to an Old Firm game, I certainly was a Rangers fan, but I'm more interested in English football, if I'm honest. I was a Man United fan. Yeah, I was a Man United fan. Right. But the weird thing is now I've lived here for 14 years, and I've got no interest in English football now. Like,
really?
I don't really enjoy it. I find it's full of prima donnas. And
do you think that's because Man United are shite now?
Yeah, I was a glory hunter, definitely. No, like I just think I love the Scottish game, and I mean that. Like I feel like the soul's still in Scottish football, whereas it's kind of gone out of English football. I've
actually touched on that a few times, Andy. I think that I heard it referred to as a tourist league. That's what it was. I heard the English game being referred to as a tourist league last week, and do you know what? I've been down south to a couple of games, and I would say about 20% of the attendance is actual fans. You know what I mean? Like you see people and they've got their cameras out, they've got half and half scarves at Liverpool Man United games. I mean, see if you try to do that with a Celtic and Rangers game up here, you'd get your fucking head kicked in. You know what I mean? It's you're right in what you're saying there. The soul's been ripped out of English football, and it is still in Scottish football. So long may it continue. But have you ever tried to explain this to somebody that doesn't watch Scottish football?
They're just not interested. Like I've been to I lived in Manchester for a couple of years when I was at Preston, and I went to the Manchester Derby, and I was like, I came away from it just embarrassed. Like I just thought, if that's aggression, if that's like rivalry, and that you think that really mattered out there, like you need to come up to East End or Govan some Sunday and watch an Old Firm game, like because it's just on a different.
Exactly.
Not even that. Even send them to Motherwell versus Hamilton Accies or something like that. And you know what I mean, it's like like you said there. It's so sanitised down south. And did you find that? See, when you went down to play down there, did you find that was it like that on the park?
I'm just a full Scottish football now. It's for me. This is where I live, and I'm engaged now to a girl from Falkirk. So I just
is that John's sister?
Sorry?
John, our producer, he's from Falkirk and all. He's a big Burns fan. But what I was saying there, did you find that on the pitch during the when you moved down south, was it a different type of game completely down there compared to up here?
I don't know, because I played when I went to Preston. We were in League One. We got promoted to the Championship at the end of that year, but League One was quite similar in some ways. Actually, it was pretty blood and thunder. Like it was physical. It was. So no, I would say maybe the lower leagues of England, it's not fair to criticise them and their fans, because I think they are pretty, whatever word you use. I think it's just the top flight. It's just where the money is. It's where it's where players have become bigger than the clubs. And players are just out there for contracts, personal contracts. And, I just think that's what I mean by the soul. Like, so I don't think the soul is in the big clubs, the Premier League clubs. I think it's still in the lower league clubs, definitely. It's just gone out of the Premier League.
But Andy, you're saying like when you were younger, you were nearly giving up on becoming a professional, but you then make your senior debut and come on as a sub for Chris Boyd in the 2009 Scottish Cup semis. How did that journey feel? If you were a bit of a Rangers fan growing up, and then the journey coming to finally make your senior debut, how did that feel?
It was unbelievable. I'm not going to lie. I was probably about a week away, maybe one game away from getting released at the end of my 2-year contract. I wasn't doing overly well. I was playing as a striker. And it was only thankfully that Sandy Jordan saw me playing in a reserve game at right back that, I actually stayed at the club. I could well have been away from the club. So for me to then go on, have another year and then another couple of years and then another couple of years and stay at the club, make my debut, obviously, was something that I definitely, probably for a long time, didn't believe would ever happen.
Andy, I always remember that game when you started at the Old Firm. What was happening again? Was it something that Beguera was injured, or was he? I can't quite remember the story. And then I remember seeing you announced, because the reason why I can remember it, that day, my English teacher, she had a ticket in the Govan front, and I remember she started arguing with me. I was feared for this woman, Mrs. Kirk, and I was saying, Beguera's out, Andy Little's playing right back, and she was going, Beguera is playing. And I had to say, look, Beguera isn't playing. He is not. He will be playing. And then I think, did Beguera start that game? I can't quite. Tell me the story.
I genuinely, I can't remember the build-up much either. It's a bit of a blur, but I only found out about, as often was the case with Walter Smith. Walter Smith named his team an hour and a half before the game, every game, no matter what. The only game that you'd a fair idea of that, I'm about to contradict myself, but Old Firm games and European games, he would give you a bit of an idea sometimes the day before. We maybe do set pieces. But for any other game, and for that game as well, he didn't name the team until an hour and a half before, so I didn't have a clue. And weirdly, I'd played like half my career as a striker, half my career as a striker, the rest of my career as a right midfield, and about 5% of my career at right back. And he put me straight in. So it was, I felt all right. Weirdly, I think it's better to find out late sometimes for something like that.
Because you don't it doesn't allow the nerves to kick in quite as much.
Aye,
so you can't build it up in your head too much and stuff like that. I can understand why you would leave it to the last minute, to be honest.
I had a few extra trips to the toilet though, I'm not going to lie. I genuinely, this is true. I said this story one time on a radio show, and I totally forgot that I'm kind of like telling whoever many thousand people are listening. But I genuinely had to go back after the warm up and change my slips.
No way. You shot yourself? You actually shot yourself?
I didn't. I think I'd done about 2 or 3 shits before going out to warm up, and I hadn't wiped properly. Right?
Time to wipe your arse, mate. It's pressure. I totally understand. I'd be the same, man. Fuck with your arse. Let's just, you know what I mean?
Grado, you're a wrestler. You can't fucking do that. Fuck up, get their face in your arse for half a night.
I think that's amazing, man.
I actually had to go. I had to go in and change, but I didn't want anyone to see me doing it, so I didn't know what to do with my slips. So I thought,
what's your slips, by the way? Your briefs?
Like briefs. We call them slips. I don't know why, but yeah, briefs. So I had these white briefs. So everyone wore this. Pretty much most of the boys wore these white briefs, and so I had to get another pair out of the bag, and then hide the other pair in behind the cistern in the toilet.
Then they get them
because I didn't want anyone to see what I'd done.
They're still there.
Some cleaner will have seen that like 5 years later or something and be like, who the...
Somebody should have given you a Imodium that day, mate, because that would have stopped all that right away.
Do you know what? I was absolutely fine though. It was just in a
That's
panic.
because we're 14 pounds lighter.
In a panic, I forgot to wipe properly. I think that was all it was.
That's like Grado before we done our first panto together, man.
I know, man. Fuck it. There's a few situations where I've had to change my brakes just before I go and perform. But anyway, let's do that a better, mate. But what happened in the game? Was it 11 minutes? You pulled a hammy, wasn't it? It's something really frustrating.
And genuinely, I think I started the process of pulling my hammy after about 10 seconds.
You're
you sure it wasn't when you were straining for a shite earlier?
Honestly, I think Scott Brown they had that a Chinese fella, big tall Chinese fella played left wing, and from the kickoff, Scott Brown, I think obviously knew, young lad, 19, 20, whatever it was, starting an old firm, fire a big diag down my throat. So I didn't want to lose my first header, and I just overstretched, went for it mad, won the header, but felt my hammy straight away, and I'm like, no way, this can't, because I've had even at that stage I'd had so many injuries, and I was like, no, this can't have just happened in the biggest chance I've ever had, and stumbled on for a couple of minutes, and then I think it was Sean Maloney maybe ran at me, and I was generally quick enough, I could have kept up with him, no bother, but I just couldn't run. I was like, I've 100% done my hammy. So I said to Davey Ware, I was like, Davey, I think he said you go, or you something like that there, and I said, I can't. He said, what do you mean you can't? I'm like, I can't run. What do you mean you can't run? I think I've done my hammy. So blah blah blah. I went up front then for 3 or 4 minutes while we waited for the ball to go out to play, and I came off after.
No way.
I think it
It's
was
a nightmare.
I went up front and I did quite well. I did a couple of nice wee touches, but
that's amazing. But do you think that you were probably saying to Davey, "What did I do here, man? Will you shout out Walter for me? I'm too feared to say." Because I think you would be feeling like that. You putting your hand up and going, I think I've put my hat. You'd be shiting yourself.
That old firm atmosphere is just nothing I've ever experienced. And I was lucky enough to play in 3 of them, and obviously youth cup finals and stuff as well. But there's just exactly. I didn't want to lie on the floor and go. I couldn't do that. I was like, Davey, I think I've done my hammy. And he's like, something happened in the game, so we had to run on and play a bit longer. About a minute later, he goes, have you done, probably with some flowery language, have you done your hammy? And I was like, I think so. He's like, so the message got across to the physio, and on he came, and that was that.
Was you green, no?
I think it probably was. I wouldn't have done it on my way off the pitch, but I probably did later on.
That's a sin, man.
Yeah.
But then if you put that, the contrast and emotions for that when you came off the bench, but Andy scored against Celtic, talk us through that. How did that feel?
Well, same place, same pitch, totally different emotions. I was probably a couple of years later in my career, I was probably a bit more, I played a few more games and felt a bit more confident about myself, and I came out of nowhere again. We were 1-0 up And obviously that was the time that the club was going through the start of administration process, and not a good time for the club. But Celtic could have won the league, could have lifted the trophy that day. I can't remember the date, some date in March, and they could have lifted the trophy. And we went 1-0 up, and I came on. Cross came in, Lafferty missed one, Lee Wallace missed one, and I've tapped it in, and obviously we went 2-0 up, we won the game, and it was amazing. I had my whole family there as well. The whole family just came over. Like my dad would come over for most games that he knew I was playing, but my whole family were there. So I knew pretty soon after the game, I knew like I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. It was kind of, it wasn't like one of those ones that you didn't realize what had happened, or it was like I knew what this game was all about, and I knew what had just happened. And okay, we weren't going to win the league, but we stopped them on what would have been one of the best days in that club, in their club's career. And obviously I've got a fair old passion for Rangers, so I didn't want to let that happen either.
What age were you then, Andy?
Don't even know, 21?
Grado, you know what age you was, you?
Well, you were born in 1989, and this was 2012, so what's that? And you're 23?
23, aye.
23, you're born the end of May, so you're probably 22.
So say then, right, 22, that's relatively young, do you know what I mean, in your career, but with everything that was happening, as you were talking about the Rangers there, and then what happened after that Old Firm game in that summer, you'd have been free to leave the club, but you chose to stay. How big a decision was that for you personally, when you know what the club's going through, where they're going, whatever, do you know what I mean?
It was a big decision, but at the same time, I'll never want to claim that I did something heroic. I was lucky to play for Rangers, and I knew I was lucky to play for Rangers, and there's no way if they were going to offer me a contract, really. They did offer me something, I think verbally, but it was a wee bit pathetic, I have to admit. And that was quite. In fact, no, there was like a quiet period. Once we played that game, it was St Johnstone away. We won 3-0. I think that was the last game of that season. So then it was like the last day of secondary school or primary school, where you were basically like saying goodbye to all your teammates.
Wow.
And nobody had a clue who was staying, who was going. Everyone was free to leave that day. Everyone could go wherever they wanted. Wow. And in the end, probably, exception of me, Lee Wallace, Lee McCulloch, Carlos Bocanegra, I think stayed for a bit. Doran Goyan stayed for a bit. Might be missing a few, but with the exception of whatever select few it was, I never saw. So I haven't seen some of those players again in my life.
Really?
Right.
It was a really, really strange day. And we had probably about a month, maybe 4 or 5 weeks then of I was getting offers from down south. I was very close to going to Portsmouth. But I kept kind of hanging on, just hoping that a proper sort of contract would come from Rangers. And yeah, then about quite late on in the end of the pre-season or end of the summer, I got an offer, and it wasn't as good as what I was getting down south as well. I was getting more down in England, but I knew I just wanted to. I'd waited for 6 years to get. I'd been at the club for 6 years, and I didn't want to leave without what turned out to be my best spell for the club. And I knew I was going to get a chance to play every game. I wasn't going to have to play second fiddle to Yelovich or Boyd or Kenny Miller or Lafferty, and I knew I was going to get a run of game. So it wasn't a hard decision for me. It was quite easy, but I can totally understand for some players why they did what they did.
When you come back and you're after the summer we've had, and you come back and it's like you're saying Lee McCulloch, Lee Wallace, and that's still there. What was the place like when you came back after the summer?
It was different. There's a lot less people. I think we only had a squad of about 13 or 14 players maybe, and then boosted by some young lads obviously as well. The first game, I only came back, I only had about 2 days pre-season before the first game, which was Brecon away in the Ramsden's Cup. So I
remember watching it in BBC Alba. I couldn't understand a word of the commentary.
Remember the ball went in the bush?
The hedge. The famous hedge.
The hedge, man. I remember it.
To go from, only 3 or 4 months ago, Ibrox, full house, etc., to playing at Brecon, no disrespect to Brecon, in a Ramsden's Cup game, it was different. But at the same time, for me and some of the younger lads, we had played in any amount of testimonial games, reserve games, friendlies. so we kind of knew what to expect. We didn't know to expect like 4,000 fans crammed around every single away pitch.
Aye.
Like Chinese media, Japanese media, New Zealand, like it was bonkers. The actual media frenzy around the whole club at that time was just crazy.
I mean, did you ever like watch like Nazy and Stephen Whittaker doing that press conference when they went on to say about, you know, we're leaving, and they kind of had a few words that a lot of Rangers fans will never forgive the players because of what they said. Did you have any opinions at that time? Or
What
did you just
was it they said, Grado?
I can't remember. I don't think I've even watched it.
Oh, mate.
I'm only joking. No, but the point that you're making there is fair enough, Grado. I mean, like a lot of Rangers players see the ex-players as a lot of Rangers fans see the ex-players as traitors. Am I right?
I'll speak. Like, you know, I think when it came to moving on, there was ways to move on. There was ways of doing it. There was the likes of Stephen Davis, who, as far as I'm aware, made sure that Southampton paid Rangers a fee, even though they didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
So there's ways of doing it. And I don't blame any player for moving on, because there were international players that couldn't go and play a Ramsden Cup game at Brecon. Like, you just can't do that and play international. I was lucky enough, actually, I managed to play a couple of games for Northern Ireland in the third division, but you know, that was really strange. So I don't blame any of those players. But at the same time, I think there was ways of going about it, and I think a few of those players will probably admit they were badly advised. They weren't exactly
100%. Aye, it was. They were a lot younger, and the people that had behind them should have advised them better, and they could have handled it a lot better.
Just what to say, and how to leave. There's a way to leave, you know, with a bit of respect, and I think obviously, unfortunately, have lost that a wee bit maybe from fans. But I'll never criticise, you know, teammates like that.
Do you not think it's like when you see some of them try to come crawling back, like in particular Naismith, he was linked with the club, was it last summer or the summer before?
I think it was 2 seasons ago, I think, before he went to...
And he's making all the noises about, Rangers this and I love Rangers and all that, but then you see the stuff that he said previously. See, as a Celtic fan, see if that was an ex-Celtic player, I would... you know, the abuse that he gets for the Celtic fans is because he was such a fervent player for Rangers. He was pure ferocious against us, and he always has been ever since. But the Rangers fans give him some amount of stick as well, and rightfully so, I think. You know, but I think you're right what you're touching on there when you're saying they were advised poorly or something like that. I mean, I don't know if you're privy to it or anything like that, Andy, but see all these players, were they all round about the same kind of agent, or was it just were they all being led astray by different people?
No, I can't. I don't know him in terms of their agent, but I also don't necessarily think they were led astray. All I mean by badly advised is that, you know, going into a press conference like that, or if you got a move, there was a way to leave the club by saying, "Listen, love my time at the club. I want to play international football. I can't play international football if I'm playing in the third division." Rangers fans, most sensible people, will be like, "Aye, fair enough, understand." And the likes of Alan McGregor, Stephen Davis, players who've come back to the club, again, have the full respect of fans, as far as I'm aware, because they've come back and done a job, and they left in the right manner as well. So
they ones left in the right manner. I was more touching on Naismith in particular. But you're right enough. Like I'm a great believer in, see if somebody puts the jersey on and they give 100%, then you give them your support. You know what I mean? So these guys like Stephen Davis, like you said, Kenny Miller, who'd been in away, every time he come back, he always gave 100% for Rangers. So you can understand why these people are still held in high regard, you know. But it's
football's a job. Like that's the thing as well. I know that more than most now, because I'm 31, retired, and I don't really know what I'm doing with myself next. And like, these guys they've got to go and earn as much money as they can in a very short period of time, and your career can go up in dust like mine did at 29, retiring. So I just don't blame any player for... Fans see it a different way. Fans see it with the heart. Players see it with the brain. They see it with the money bags, and I actually don't blame them.
Andy, see when you started off down in League 2, and there was a lot of talk of like kind of high profile not ex-players, but players that were coming to the end of their career. Remember, Robbie Savage was making all the noise about wanting to come down and play for Rangers. And did any of them ever come close at that point? Were they ever in talks with any of these, like I say, like Robbie Savage? I think Jimmy Bullard that was spoke about at the time as well. Did any of them ever come close to actually signing for Rangers at the time?
I've genuinely, I've got no idea. Like, all I would say about that is I thought the club went about it the wrong way. I thought signing these players for those leagues was totally unnecessary because we have a brilliant academy. We had a brilliant academy. My youth team won the league and cup double 2 years in a row, and then only 4 years later, we're playing in the third division, and I'm going. All of us are now 23. If we had continued to be at the club, we could have easily got the club back to where it needs to be on a tiny percentage of the budget. So I thought the club went about it maybe did try to go for some players that were names, but it was a business. It's a business thing, isn't it? But I just thought could have done it with the boys that I knew well that were at the club, youth players, could have got us out of those leagues probably without the necessity of signing sort of older, experienced players.
Too many. I mean, I think when I remember back, we should have. I agree with what you're saying. I think maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 kind of season pros, but we try to do too much. It should have. We should have bled through all the youth players. That was a perfect opportunity to do it for Rangers, in my opinion. Definitely, man.
100%. And then you would have had boys at 23 with 50, 100 games for Rangers under the belt who at that point then they decide, like, are they good enough to bring us up to the top league, or do they move on, and do we get 500 grand for them or $1 million for them and make a bit of money?
Not just that as well though, Andy, but see if these young boys bring Rangers back up into the Premier League, then they're legends at the club forevermore. You know what I mean? They've taken the club for the darkest hours right all the way through. You know what I mean? They could make a fucking Hollywood movie out of that sort of stuff. So it baffles me why they were flinging money, and again, no disrespect to any players, but they were flinging money at like Kevin Kyle and players like that. Do you know what I mean? They were flinging ludicrous amounts of money at these players to play in the third division, and it was, I like you said there, I don't know why they didn't just invest in their youth setup that they've been paying so much money for throughout all these years.
Like I said, I don't know. The first 2 years were fine. We got out of Division 3, then we got out of League 1 easy, no issues. Obviously, the problems came in the Championship when they didn't manage it. So at that stage, then maybe you could have done with a few more of those experienced, good signings. But certainly for those first 2 years, we could have done it with the youth team, no doubt.
Right, but Andy, fast forward to like May 2014, and you're released for Rangers. How hard was that leaving Rangers?
I was absolutely gutted, mate. Not ashamed to say I was absolutely bawling my eyes out going out the doors and the gates, the blue gates of the training ground. It was something that our head of youth had always told us, like, make sure you give absolutely everything, because the minute you leave those blue gates, you'll regret not giving it your all. But I was comfortable knowing that I'd probably got the best I could have got out of my Rangers career. I've been lucky. I've been also been really, really, really unlucky with injuries. But I was in tears, and I just drove straight home. I went and got the like 3:30 ferry from Stranraer to Belfast.
Really?
Really?
Like, I need to get out of Glasgow, so I went straight home and just left everything in my flat. And I got a nice message from Ali McCoist. I spoke to him a wee bit after. He then, I'll be honest, I thought he was a prick for 24 hours, but that was it. He was the one to release me. He called me in Tuesday after the last league game, and I had a meeting, and I was starting to get a wee bit suspicious because I fully expected another contract, or up until probably the last week of the season. But I had a wee thigh injury, and it was interesting. I was listening to one of your podcasts, and I think you were talking about McCoist playing in his last game, but he didn't get played.
Aye, that's right. The Kelly game, when he played for Kelly and Bobby Williamson, didn't he bring him on?
Aye. So similar, but not the same. I was injured with shock, horror, as I always was, but with a couple of weeks to go at the last game of the season, I was back fit and I was playing reserve games, and then the squad went up for the final game of the season, which was Dunfermline, and my name wasn't in the squad list. And this was on the Friday, and I went in to speak to him and says, Gaffer, I know I've got a meeting for you on Tuesday, but my name's not in the squad list. Is there a reason? And he says, oh, I thought you were injured. I was like, I'm not injured. I played a reserve game last week. You know, and this was the first time that I thought the writing might be on the wall. But I just says to him, listen, Gaffer, if this is going to be my last game for Rangers, or if this is going to be my last week at Rangers, I want to play in that game. So he scribbled my name on the team sheet, put me on the team sheet, played them for him, and I came on as a sub, played the last half an hour. But
well, that's interesting, man, because you there must have been mixed emotions there, because if he puts that name up, you're thinking, right, this could be the writing on the wall, literally. But
yeah,
that must have been weird, man.
Weird, because it was like, I wanted to be involved in the game, because every player does. But then by him writing my name up there, and by me saying that to him, I thought, well, I either say nothing and go home now and I have a meeting on Tuesday and I haven't played, or I say something and he puts me in the squad, he plays me. But if he does that, that probably means I'm getting released, because he could have said to me at that point, listen, Andy, you've had a thigh injury. I've got a meeting on Tuesday. I'm offering you a contract. Don't risk it. There's no point in you risking the last game.
He's just put your name up, and that's horrible. That's horrible.
I've gone brilliant, great, and then that was me. So anyway, but listen, I love my time. I have so much respect for him as a manager. He was good to me, and like I say, I thought he was a prick for 24 hours, and then I went back to thinking he was a hero again. So it was all good.
Have you seen Harry since? Do you talk? Have you ever bumped into him at Rangers when you're doing Rangers TV and stuff?
He's such a gentleman. Like, I met him in the airport with Danielle, my fiance, and I introduced her to him. Sorry, and
well, wait a minute, that's a calm sin. Don't introduce a woman to a ghost, mate, or else she's not your fiance anymore.
You know, it was funny, whenever I signed for Rangers, my mum absolutely loves him. And it was
every Rangers fan's mum was the same, wasn't it, man?
Yeah. Paul Le Guin was the manager when I signed. Obviously, the shocker, and he was gone by January. So I was only in the youth team, and the youth team are on one side of the training ground, and the first team are on the other side. And there's actually like a change in the brick. So the brick on the youth team is a cheaper brick on the walls, and the brick on the first team is a more expensive brick, and it's supposed to be about the fact that, like, you're in the youth team, you're not first team yet, you're not there yet.
Aye.
So Mum, for the first 2 weeks solid of me being at Rangers, kept phoning me up every afternoon, being like, "So, have you seen him yet? Have you seen him yet?"
I can totally imagine that, man.
And I was just like, "Mum, listen, I'm not allowed to go past the bricks. I'm not allowed to go and see him."
That's brilliant, man.
See, back home, and he released you. Did your mum call him a prick as well? Oh, it's brutal, man. It's brutal. Brilliant. But you leave and you sign a 2-year deal with Preston, Andy. When you signed a 2-year deal with Preston, was there other clubs interested in you at the time?
I was very nearly going to New Zealand.
Really?
Yeah, and honestly, I wish I had now, because I look back at football and I think I should have used it. Once I left Rangers, I was never going to play for a bigger club. I was never going to have a better experience of football than playing for that team.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I'd used football just to travel, because I see a lot of players, like Killian Sheridan's a great example, Celtic, and he's been back at St Johnstone and away again. He's been in every country in Europe. He's been in America, been in Asia, and he's probably earned a fortune.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd gone to, it was Wellington Phoenix for the team.
Oh, they're good to, not to. They're part of the league.
Aye.
Are you for him, Grado? Aye.
You don't actually.
They're my New Zealand team. Did you just think, no, fit that England pressing, keeping the limelight, that kind of idea? Was that going through your head?
I think so. Like, I'd played at that stage, I played for Northern Ireland a fair few times, and I absolutely loved playing for my country. Like, that was probably, apart from firm goal and winning leagues at Rangers, like playing for my country, representing my country is definitely the highlight. So I thought, if I go to New Zealand, that's me. You know, I'm never going to play for my country again, probably. So, because there's a bit of a flight back from there. So, I chose Preston for football reasons, and my agent, Colin Murdoch, he'd been at Preston as well, so he had good stories to tell, and he said it was a good club. And we ended up getting promoted, and I doubled my wages, so I was buzzing.
Get in there.
That's what it's all about, my man. I mean, see what you're saying there about loving the international football, Andy. What's your thoughts on it just now with what's going on, obviously, in the world and stuff like that? What's your thoughts? Do you think they should curtail international football as much as possible just now?
I think so. I think it's big. I think what we're going through right now, everyone's got their own issues in their life, but I think what we're going through is bigger than international football. Certainly, I think club football. I can see why you continue club football, because actually, I can't wait for the game tonight, and I can't wait for. Like, we all loved that Old Firm game, even though it wasn't proper Old Firm, obviously.
No,
but
not always loved it, mate. Not always loved it.
Most days loved it, Andy. Most days loved it. It was a great day.
Yeah. So, like, I think international football could be put to the wayside until things are a bit more calm. But club football, I think it's as important for mental health and for us fellas.
That's a good shout.
And
So
girls
it's
as
an
well
escape, isn't it?
to have that wee release and something to shout at the TV about, I suppose.
So when was it you retired? 2018?
I was 29 when I retired. I'm 31 now, so 2 years.
So I always thought it was your injuries that played a big part in it, but I'm reading on the notes here that you said basically that the fun had just left you in terms of playing football. That wasn't your kind of, the love had went away. Is that, tell us how you felt? What was going on there?
Like, it's a no-brainer, travelling away in the lower leagues of Scottish football, you know, to far-flung places in Scotland. I don't want to name the places because I don't want to, you know. But you know the games I mean, and it's okay when it's Rangers and there's cameras and there's crowds and there's whatever. But the fun from that point of view had certainly gone out of it for me. But I was still like, basically what happened was I fractured my skull about 3.5 years ago now, maybe. I came back up from Preston. I was in a Partick Thistle, couldn't get fit, went to Stirling Albion to play the remainder of the season. And about a month into my time at Stirling Albion, a trialist in training basically caught me with his kneecap just there inside of my skull.
Wow.
And I was knocked unconscious for 5 minutes. I was in Edinburgh Hospital for 10 days and I was out of football for 10 months. So see, when you come back, I came back and I played. Like, but I was seeing specialists and they were sort of saying, listen, you've literally had a brain injury. You need to be very careful, sort of thing. And it just got to the point where I felt like the reward for playing at lower league football, earning what you earn, having to get a job because you don't earn enough to survive when you play part-time football. I just thought it wasn't worth the risk of possibly something else happening again. So that was the reason.
Aye, totally.
Oh, that is interesting.
What, like you're saying earlier on, like, so you leave that, you're not making enough money, you'd have to get a job in the lower leagues. Is it, what, have you got other interests with football now as well? Like you were saying earlier on, both can't like with property and stuff. I'm
in property now, basically full time.
So is that your full time job now then, Andy?
Aye, so I've got my own flats, and then I do refurbs for other people. But kind of what I want to do now is like help footballers because they're daft, as you know. Podcast. And there's so many boys that I played with who earned a lot more money than I did, and they came out of football and they've got fuck all to show for it, basically. So my whole thoughts are that I can try and help players. Basically, obviously, I'm going to make a bit of money out of it. Wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't, but help them invest their money in property. So help them find a place, help do the refurb, and then
great idea, mate.
I would fucking love to do that, man.
That's a brilliant idea, man. Wrap it up, roll it up, because this has been good.
No. It's time for the quiz, man. Time for the quiz, Andy.
The door's gone.
We just need to let our listeners know that Andy Little has told us that he has a phobia that I've never heard of this phobia before, but it's a, what is it, quiz phobia or something like that?
No, actually there is. I googled it. It's called.
You've been googling this shit then,
test anxiety.
Test anxiety. Right.
I tell you what, Andy.
I don't mind. Just say I fucking hate quizzes, and I told you I wasn't doing it.
Andy, I tell you what. Right, I'm going to ask you one question, just so that you can be level with David McCracken, right?
Right. I better get it right.
What was your squad number at Rangers?
That's a shit question. I'd about 5 or 6 squad numbers.
Hey, what was the last squad number you wore at Rangers?
7.
There we go. Andy Little goes joint with David McCracken on the 1. There we go, Andy.
There we go. Good for you, mate. And do you know what? The first step in a problem is admitting that you've got a problem, Andy. So I'm proud of you, mate. You've come through there.
Andy, good luck on comms tonight, mate, and thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it, bud.
Thanks very much for that, Andy. I appreciate that, big, and take care.
Right, Trout, so what do you think of the show this week, Andy Little was a decent guest, wasn't he?
I thought it was interesting to hear him talk about the stuff near the end of the show. When he was talking about how he's going to help football players, you know, kind of give them a bit of advice with their money and stuff like that. I think that's a big issue that a lot of folk don't touch on. So it was interesting.
It reminded me a wee bit. Remember the boy I got my Legends Lottery ages ago? He played for Thistle and he's now working in finance. And he said there's no support. And Jamie Mitchell, it reminded me of him a wee bit.
Aye.
Like talking about that because there's no help for football players and all that shit. So,
do you know what it used to be? See, back in the day, footballers used to buy pubs. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they obviously they don't do it anymore because they're fucking athletes and they don't need to fall back on the alcoholism of Scotland.
Did Simon Donnelly and Jackie McNamara, did they know buy a pub last year in Fingarola or something like that? Don McNamara's?
Why did I think it was in New York?
I don't know, mate.
Mate, my head's away, mate, man. I don't know what's going on with me.
Kenny Rogers in New York. Toll, you alright?
Mate, I'm starting to think I'm fucking losing my marbles here.
Did you find the lid off that bottle of Coke?
No, that's the worst part of my day so far. Honestly, I've had to sit and take filters for yous all day, but not being able to find the lid off this bottle of Coke's really getting under my skin.
So I take it
Shelks and Bob took a bit of bantering on, I mean.
So I take it you're in there, Nick, to tell us a Big Brother story too?
Oh.
Mate, fuck, after what yous have put me through the day, you're wanting the legendary Big Brother story. You can climb up my arse, Grado. It's not happening, boy.
Oh, come on.
Listen, we'll get time of day, lads, have we?
It's a long story, isn't it?
Right, no, do you know what? I'm not doing it when Ryan's here. I'll do it when John's here.
Right, okay, right, no bar.
John's been waiting every week.
Give it up for Ryan Gallagher, who's been standing in for producer John. Give it up for Chris Stowe. Give it up for Shelton Bob and myself, Grado, BAFTA-nominated game show presenter. We'll see you next week on Football Daft.
Audio Frontier.